So I'm going to play a clip here. The Amazon Labor Union had a successful outing in New York. And so I want to play a clip here that made the rounds. This has 8 million views on Twitter. So a lot of people know about this. And then we're going to be getting into some reactions in other segments here. But again, so this is the moment that the Amazon Labor Union basically realized that they had won. I want to play this because this is a very, in my opinion, monumental moment in American history. Again, there have been several attempts at unionizing Amazon plants. Recently, there was one in Alabama that did not end up going so well. But this is a successful example. And so here is, again, the Amazon Labor Union announcing their victory. Well, the moment before that they announced their victory in the celebration. I think it's good to watch this. This is awesome.
Let's go! Do this stuff, man! Let's go! Baby! ALU! 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 Oh my God!
This is the best feeling in the world.
Come up to the mic.
Words can't describe it.
Champagne! We got champagne!
Words.
No, do the mic stand. Can you turn this way? Do whatever you want, actually.
Yo, Chris, can I pop it?
You got a message
I feel like you should be the one to do it.
Yeah!
I'll pop it for y'all. Shake this shit up.
Watch out,
To the first union in American history.
Yeah!
So there you go, y'all. Pretty good. Pretty good. Now again, there's been a lot of unionizing going on in this country. Really, in my opinion, I think the pandemic response by the government, by the corporations, by the owners of this country, the response to this pandemic, again, Chris Smalls here, the fella popping the champagne, was fired from Amazon because he was basically saying there's a pandemic going on and Amazon's covering up the people that are getting sick. They're not letting anyone know who's getting sick. They're not giving us PPE. And for speaking out against that, he got fired. I believe that there was the report, an Amazon leaked document, called him stupid and insignificant or some shit. How it started, how it's going, right? Again, the first Amazon union. So, again, this is a big thing because I think that this is indicative, especially Chris Small's position here, where he did get fired for speaking out against the pandemic response when the COVID first started making the rounds in these working areas, in these facilities, right? And so a lot of people have been unionizing because people have realized that the government, that the owners of this country, the corporate owners, the overlords, the warlords of this country do not care about you. You are not a human being to the minds of the managers, the CEOs. You are not a human being. You are a commodity. You are something that can be bought and sold and thrown in the garbage. That is how corporations treat human beings. They don't care about your safety. They don't care about your well-being. They do not give a fuck. They could not possibly give a fuck. These are parasites. These are leeches. These are rodents. These are, and no offense to rodents, because rodents are actually more useful to society than these motherfuckers. These are parasitic, again, leeches. I know I'm repeating myself. But again, I need you to understand the owners of this country could not possibly give a fuck. And that was laid bare during the pandemic, right? Remember this whole essential worker thing? Oh, they're essential workers! Yes, the essential workers. Where was their raise? Where was their protective equipment? Where was their, job security? Where was their, paid time off? They're essential workers. And yet they got nothing. They got nothing. You call them essential, and yet the CEOs are making more money. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, all these big CEOs, Bill Gates, they made a fuckload of money during the pandemic. Some of them tripled their wealth during the pandemic. Right? Whereas, how have the workers been treated? Well, there's 1 million deaths in America from this virus. Right? The capitalists, the corporate overlords, they don't give a fuck about that. Because there's more. Again, I'm going to bring in the radical veganism here for a moment. Okay. This is how we as a society, how meat eaters, I should say, which in my opinion, now again, we're getting a little bit off track here, but bear with me. In my opinion, I think it's very fair to say that meat eaters are Nazis. They treat other species as scum. They send them to factory farms, mass produce, and kill them for entertainment and for profit. I'm just saying, let's be honest, right? But that is how the corporate overlords view you. That is how the corporate overlords view humans, workers. You are just as expendable as the cows that you're eating. You are just as expendable as the chickens that you're eating. You have no value. You are a commodity that can be bought, sold, and thrown in the trash. I need you to understand that. So again, whenever your opinions on veganism are, is irrelevant to me, you're wrong if you eat meat. You're just morally, ethically disgusting to me. That being said, right, what the meat process, factory farming process, is exactly what we are, cogs in the capitalist machine. They throw us out when we get sick. They don't even treat us when we get too sick. But if we get sick enough, they'll milk us for all the money in the world. That's why we don't have universal health care in this country. If we get too sick, throw them in the garbage. You can't pay that much. But if you get just sick enough, maybe we'll pump you full of fucking drugs, string you along, and take all of your money, take your savings accounts, take your cars, take your house, drain you of resources, and then kill you and pass the debt onto your family and your children? That's how medical debt works in this country. Tell me that doesn't sound like the dairy industry. So I'm just saying, now again, shout outs to Amazon labor, because this is a very monumental story. This is huge. I mean, this is really, I personally think that this is one of the biggest moments in American history as far as socialism, workers' rights, that we have seen in modern history. I do think so. And regardless of what you think about the personalities of any of these characters, that's irrelevant to this. Whether or not you disagree with certain things that certain people have said, that's irrelevant to this. And I can talk about that as well later in the show. But this itself is incredible. It needs to be supported. And it needs to be shown that anyone can do this. We see Starbucks unionizing all over the country, right, and so forth. This is something that needs to happen. We need to, workers collectively. What if we all unionized? Right? What if we all unionized, all workers, all poor people unionized in the form of political parties, in the form of organizations, and then we all, collectively bargained with those in power in politics in that kind of way? Because think about this. A lot of people talk about third parties. What is the easiest way to build a third party? Well, you build dual power by working outside of the electoral system, building, unions, labor organizations, and then they have leverage that can support certain political machines. Let's say you get a whole bunch of unions in one area that all have their own thousands of members or so forth, right? You get all those unions to support a specific party, then maybe they have a shot at winning. If you want to vote for third party, if you're a third party person, what you should be doing is not starting a third party right now, but instead working in labor unions. I personally think that that's one of the biggest things to achieve more socialist goals in this country, and it's an important thing, and it's great. And, again, I believe that workers of the world should be uniting against the owners of the world, because you are a commodity that can be bought and sold, right? I think this entire world, every human being is enslaved to the owners. It's just that it's just a little bit creative. It's like a board game. Think of it like Monopoly, right? Yeah, sure, you can land on the boardwalk. You can land on Park Avenue. You can land on fucking whatever. Ultimately, though, you're stuck on the board. You're stuck on those tracks. You can't get off, right? And you need to understand, you have no freedom. You have no free choice. You have no free will. And that's just that. But We could, theoretically. Now, it's possible if we get too powerful, they'll just kill us all again like they did in the 1960s and 70s. That's totally possible. If we get a little bit too scary, they'll just gun us fucking down in the streets. All right. But it's worth a shot. So again, shout out to the Amazon Labor Union. Very big news, and I can't possibly imagine supporting it even more. So there you go.